How are we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real Brad. Today we are going to be talking about our next film in the MCU Mondays, Iron Man 2. Before we dive into this review, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It means the world that you are liking my videos and being subscribed to the channel. You guys are the best. Iron Man 2 is the fourth film in chronological order and third film in release date order in the MCU. It is a 2010 superhero film directed by Jon Favreau. Iron Man 2 is a mixed bag for me that feels like there's something interesting and fascinating going on with many parts of the story, but this does feel like a missed opportunity. It is very messy with too many subplots that don't feel cohesive as one big main narrative story. For starters, let's get into the positives and start with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man. He has always been the biggest selling point to these Iron Man films and even as part of the Avengers movies too. His bold, exciting charisma is captured all over the screen, handling every aspect so perfectly. He helps make these scenes that are filled with bad dialogue flow so nicely, and he gives his all in every scene. He carries the whole film. I will say this in every review with Downey Jr. in it. Truly don't think anyone is going to replace him as Iron Man. Samuel L. Jackson shows up in this film after being in the post-credits of the previous Iron Man movie as Nick Fury talking about the Avengers Initiative, which was a massive exciting news that doesn't feel as exciting anymore because the post-credits have become a part of the MCU franchise with mainstream audiences sticking around more than before. This is the first time he plays a big role in a Marvel film as Nick Fury, and he is a big highlight. He isn't in the film all too much, but a great addition. Visual effects are very fantastic with some fantastic looking CGI, especially in the fight sequences that are so impressive. This could be due to a significantly higher budget than the first Iron Man film. Over 10 years later, the CGI hasn't aged all that much, which is awesome to see. It makes for some exciting and cool action sequences with explosives, laser blasts, thrilling flying sequences, and fun hand-to-hand combat scenes. It was nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Academy Awards. Action sequences are very enjoyable as there is a ton of explosive and powerful action that is overly exciting and fun to watch. The visual effects look incredible, especially with the Iron Man suit and all its awesome functions. They feel much more exciting than the first one, which is a plus, but there are only 3 action sequences in the whole movie that I can think of. The third act does have a longer action sequence than in the previous film, but it doesn't make up for the lack of action in the rest of the film. The big fight at the end was so disappointing and made me very frustrated. I won't go into detail, but felt too convenient and easy. The music is solid, but not as utilized as in the first film with its rock-centered theme, which I really liked. The music isn't bad, but forgettable to say the least. The directing is good as it is helmed nicely by Favreau after doing the first film. There are some decent shots in the film that I enjoy quite a bit, adding a nice aesthetic and presentation to the film. The action sequences are shot much better and feel less choppy than the first film as well. The story is very good when it decides to focus on Tony Stark and how he deals with his issues trying to be Iron Man and how the Palladium core in the arc reactor was slowly killing him. The film grew his character quite a bit, and those are my favorite scenes of the whole film. This also leads to some decent and well-constructed subplots which fits into how Tony is affecting all the people he cares about. Luckily, this is the majority of the film, and these aspects seem to have the best technical aspects to it. The cinematography makes this film look decent with some great amounts of color and has a lot of energy to its presentation, which seems to be a theme for a lot of Jon Favreau's films. As for some of the negatives of this film, the writing is a big step back from the first with cheesy dialogue, and I was very annoyed with how poorly the film was written. There are a handful of scenes in this film that the dialogue ruins the scene itself with tons of rambling and terrible puns that I don't know how self-aware they were of themselves. The writing team has changed to solely Justin Theroux, which I don't understand why he's the sole writer on this film, but it is very bad and one of the worst scripts in the MCU. Luckily, all of Tony Stark's dialogue is still very good and he's very hilarious throughout. There are also too many subplots going on here that I felt did not mesh well together because there is so much happening. Some subplots and characters ended up getting left behind, like Mickey Rourke's character, who is sidelined for a good portion of this film, which is a massive disappointment. Nick Fury, Black Widow, and others decide to show up as well, and it feels like there's too much trying to fit into this film in order to set up the new Avengers film, which would be coming out in a few years of this original release date. That feels painfully obvious when I rewatch this. Mickey Rourke's character is the worst villain so far. It seems like they did not make him a major player in this film because the second act hardly has him in it. His motivations are weak and uninteresting as he is set up as one of the most generic villains we have seen. Rourke is a fantastic actor that isn't able to show off his acting skills in this and be a major threat. They give Rourke nothing to work with as he doesn't actually feel like he's in the film. For people who don't know what other films he's in, he will just feel like another generic actor playing an MCU villain. This is very disappointing. I also found Scarlett Johansson's performance as Black Widow so disappointing considering this is her first entry in the series, and we see later on she is written much better and feels like she's important to the team, and it also allows Johansson to show off her acting ability, which they don't do in this film. She was already a big name going into this film after being in great films like Lost in Translation and The Prestige. I don't think this is her fault by any means. We see her be a fan favorite of the series, so this is all on the writing and the direction for her character and performance. The film's pacing is all over the place at times, being tons of fun and fast, but then we cut into random subplots that some don't work for me all that much, mostly with the Justin Hammer character, which I found incredibly useless when the film is over. It drags with bad dialogue and makes the film feel very uninteresting in many parts of the film. Editing in parts is good, but there are many scenes in the action which are not great, especially in the Black Widow fighting segment, which is shot poorly with terrible editing overall. This is a very mixed bag for me, with some entertaining and great moments, but falls down at many points with a very generic villain, waste of big name actors, and a messy execution that makes this film feel like a big missed opportunity that doesn't suck like some other MCU films. I'm giving this film a 5 out of 10. Let me know down below in the comment section. What do you all think of Iron Man 2, and does it hold up in rewatches? I want to know where it ranks in your MCU rankings as well. Next up in the MCU Mondays is the 2008 The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton. This film is not on Disney Plus due to being a Universal owned film that Marvel and Universal share with the Hulk character, so you may have to rent it if you don't already own it. As always, I will see you all in the next video.